Hello everyone. Every page tells a new story. Welcome to the world of endless animation. The movie begins with a car cleaning its chassis and opening one of its doors to throw a toy for a cat onto the ground. As the cat runs after the toy to retrieve it, it circles around the car that was left behind and walks away, standing still and sad, not knowing what to do. Then Thunder runs after the car but fails to catch up, realizing that it's over and no one will take him back again. Standing in the middle of the street, unsure of what to do, cars pass over him, terrifying him. He continues running and stumbling between cars until he reaches the pavement, where he finds a dog who says to him, "What do you look like?" and tells him that he was thrown out because he did something wrong. When Thunder asks, "What do you think about living with me?" the dog replies, "Of course not. You're a cat, and I'm a dog. How can we live together?" and walks away with his owner, leaving Thunder standing scared. A woman arrives and sits on the pavement. Thunder tries to approach her, but she keeps moving her leg away until her bus arrives, and she boards it and leaves. Thunder remains standing, upset until he sees a black cat walking by. He runs after it and ends up at a beautiful place resembling a palace. He jumps through the door and enters, looking at everything inside, including the trees, until he bumps into a huge dog. He runs away from the dog, exiting through the same door he entered. Thinking he has escaped, the dog appears from another opening and decides to chase him. Thunder hides in the pipes, but as soon as he moves, the dog spots him and resumes the chase. Thunder doesn't know where to go as the dog gets closer, about to attack him, but Thunder reaches a seemingly abandoned place. The dog hesitates, approaches him, then leaves him alone because it's the place that once saved his life. Thunder decides to enter and discover what this place is. When he reaches the door, he finds no opening, so he looks up and sees pigeons entering through a hole in the ceiling. His only option is to climb the tree to reach it. Thunder climbs the tree, almost falling, but finally figures out how to enter the abandoned palace. Once inside, the opening he entered through closes, and he sees strange, scary objects. Things keep falling on him until he says, "No, the street is better for me." But when he tries to leave, the opening is already closed, and he realizes he must find another way out. While descending the stairs, he encounters Maggie, a mouse who escapes from him, convinced he wants to kill her. She reaches her father, who grabs a ladle and says to Thunder, "Why do you want to kill my daughter?" and throws him out of the house. Outside, Thunder finds snow everywhere and hides near a drain. When the wind picks up, he falls and ends up near the basement of the same abandoned palace. He hears a sound, looks, and sees Larry fixing a lamp, which he calls Edison, surrounded by many animals he keeps. Thunder hides behind the door. While Larry plays with the animals, there's a knock on the door. He quickly hides the animals and says, "Who wants to open the door? It must be a thief." When he opens the door, he finds Dan, his nephew, who was placed in the magical box. Dan tells his uncle, "Don't mind the nonsense you always do with me." As he steps in, Dan says, "I came because you're late on your bills, and I also want to suggest selling this rundown house you live in." As Dan sneezes, he says to his uncle, "It seems you have a cat here." But Larry denies it, saying, "No, there's no one." After Dan leaves, Larry takes Thunder and says, "From now on, I'll take care of you." He throws a welcome party to celebrate Thunder's new addition, and Thunder finally finds a new home with someone who loves him. However, most of the animals don't like him. After the party, Larry takes Thunder and tells him a bedtime story, explaining that he performs magic tricks, which is why he has all these strange toys and animals. Midway through the story, Larry falls asleep, and Jerry and Maggie appear, telling Thunder, "You've been accepted." They add, "This man used to love us, but now we've come to ruin your life and make him love you even more. So you have until morning to leave on your own, or we'll show you who we are." But Thunder responds, "I didn't do anything. He's the one who loves me." The next morning, when Larry wakes up, he prepares his bag, gathering all the animals and pigeons. He puts on a suit and tells Thunder, "Stay here in the house until we return." But the cat annoys him, staring until Larry says, "The family is over with me, so I'll give you a new role in my magic." He takes Thunder with him on the bike, heading to a nearby hospital. Upon entering, he tells the children, "Today I brought something new that you'll love." He entertains, "Now it's showtime." He sets up a table, takes out a box, and says, "Now, pull a rabbit out of the hat." But as he continues to make them laugh, he neglects himself and doesn't know where the rabbit is until Thunder reveals its location. The children exclaim, "No, that's a cat, but it's much prettier than a rabbit, and we want you to bring it again." This angers Jerry, who says, "When this cat came, things went too far. We must get rid of it." After Larry finishes his performance, he packs everything back into the box, takes the bike, and places Thunder on top of the box as they ride down the road. Jerry seizes the opportunity, saying, "If I hit this box, the stupid cat will fall into the street and won't know how to return home." But he can't hit the box because it's too heavy. Maggie encourages him, giving him a pen to poke Thunder from below. Thunder moves left and right until Larry loses control of the bike and crashes. Thunder falls to the ground far away. When he wakes up, he finds the dog from before, who tells him, "You are a naughty cat and almost killed the innocent old man who did nothing to you." He asks Thunder what happened, and the dog replies, "The man has returned to his home again." The dog adds, "I've also become a dog without an owner, so I'll be with you to help you." As they walk together, They find themselves back at the abandoned house. The dog says, "What's your situation? I heard this house is used for black magic and there's a crazy rabbit inside. You go in and I'll rescue you if needed." Meanwhile, Larry is in the hospital, unable to move. Dan enters, saying, "I found you a beautiful place to live. I'll go get the contracts for you to sign." Hearing this, the pigeons in the box escape and quickly return to the house to warn everyone about Dan's plan to trick his uncle into moving to a new place so he can take the palace. Dan arrives, ready for Larry to sign, who remains unaware of what's happening. He took the box so that he return it to the abandoned palace again. Thunder, noticing two people coming to buy the mansion, he tells the pigeons, "You guys fly and throw something at them so the people coming to buy get annoyed, and Dan, we won't come to this disgusting place again." After he finishes with Dan, Jerry stands up to tell Thunder, "You're the reason for all this, and you were about to kill the man." So the cat told him, "You're a liar. You're the reason for all this when you tried to scare me away." When he finds that no one is on his side except Edison, he tells them, "You can't kick me out because Dan is allergic to cats." Jerry replies, "But that's easy. They put him in a cage and lock him up so he doesn't know how to move." Meanwhile, Thunder stands upset and says to himself, "Larry must be upset with me now." But Edison arrives to tell him, "You're now one of the family, no one hates you, and don't listen to what you hear." The next day, Sandra, the owner of the dog Sugar, arrives with Dan and tells him, "Show me this house you've been telling me about because I want to turn it into a hair salon." Dan remains carefree, playing with the dog, but the dog returns to him, and this time Dan notices and pulls out an umbrella, foiling the pigeon's plan. Jerry says, "I have another solution. The alternative plan is for Maggie to attack her, so she will also be scared to come back." When Sandra enters the mansion, Sugar remains terrified, running and saying, "Where's that stupid cat? He must have turned into a mouse or something." Dan stays outside because of his allergy and tells Sandra, "If you need anything, let me know and I'll help you." As Sugar continues running, he sees Thunder trapped in the cage and says to him, "Help me, just grab my hand and I'll get myself out of here." At this time, Dan is standing outside to check if there's really a cat, only to see the dog helping the cat. He says, "Are these two really teaming up or what?" When Thunder falls to the ground, the cage opens, and Sandra hears the noise, gets scared and runs out, falling down the stairs. She gets up and tells Dan, "I'm not coming here again." At this moment, Thunder escapes, and when Dan tries to catch him, he grabs Sugar instead, leading Sandra to hit him repeatedly, saying, "Don't you dare touch my dog again." Jerry stands up to tell Maggie, "You're the hero who saved us, and from now on, we don't need that cat anymore. Whenever someone comes, you can handle it." Maggie feels happy, as luck was on her side from the start. Later, Thunder goes to Larry, who wasn't upset with him, and they hug, making Thunder happy as he returned to the abandoned palace again. This time, they find a photographer and his wife who want to buy the house. When Maggie goes to scare them, the man grabs her and puts her in a jar, continuing as if nothing happened. Thunder and Edison stand by, waiting for the wife to enter the kitchen. They turn on the blender in her face and throw things at her until she gets terrified, runs out of the house, and tells her husband, "I can't stay here, not even for a second." When Dan gets fed up with them, he says, "I know what the solution is." He sends two people to clean the house and throw everything out. But Thunder is ready and devises a plan to monitor them. He keeps showing them creepy pictures and shapes until they run away, saying, "This mansion is really haunted or what?" Their plan succeeds, and this time, the credit goes to Thunder after the rabbit and mouse refuse to help him. Dan arrives to find the people who were far away running back, and he enters the mansion to see what happened, finding the place turned upside down because of the cat. The rabbit stands upset about what happened and fires a rocket at Thunder. When Dan looks at the sound source, he sees the cat and says, "I know you're definitely the cause of all these disasters." He chases him down the stairs to catch him, but he keeps sneezing and says, "I'm leaving now, but I'll come back for you and I won't let you get away with this." We go back to the hospital to see Larry getting discharged. The nurse tells him, "Tomorrow at the latest, the doctor will examine you so you can go to the island where your nephew will get you a house there." Larry keeps telling her, "No, I'm not leaving my house. How is this happening? And when?" Thunder is sleeping until Edison sees someone at the door. He rushes to the cat, waking him up to attack Dan. But this time, Dan is wearing a suit that makes him immune to the cat, holding a rifle, and says to Thunder, "Now I know your mistake." The cat keeps running away while Dan shoots at him until he gets cornered against the wall and a box falls on him. Dan thinks he's dead and finished. The rest of the magical toys stand watching what's happening, scared for Thunder. Dan then goes down, saying, "From now on, no more sneezing and no more allergy from that stupid cat." But he trips and falls down the stairs. When he gets up, he finds all the toys gathered around him, attacking him. He says, "What's happening here? This can't be real." But the toys grab him and beat him until they throw him out of the house. When he gets outside, he finds the crane meant to demolish the house has arrived. He says, "It doesn't matter. Even if those stupid toys are inside the house, I'll demolish it to trap them again." At the hospital, the doctor has examined Larry and tells him, "You need to stay with us because your leg isn't fully healed yet." But Larry insists, "No, I must return to save my house. Two kids help him take an ambulance back to the old house, terrified of their driving. Dan comes out to operate the crane, saying, "Why isn't this stupid thing working?" Until he figures it out and demolishes a wall of the house, causing the box to fall and thunder to come out from under it. Larry arrives at this moment and tells Dan, "You seem to have gone crazy and don't understand what you're doing." But Dan pulls out the contract Larry had signed and says, "What I'm doing is legal and with your consent, so stay out of my way to avoid getting hurt." Thunder jumps onto the wrecking ball, hitting the house, and keeps running on it. Maggie descends on a wire to climb into the cabin where Dan is sitting, distracting him for a while, but he grabs her and throws her out. At this moment, Thunder gets into the cabin, and when Dan sees him, he panics because of his allergy, running out of the crane while sneezing and struggling to breathe. Larry says, "No, we don't want to hurt anyone." He calls for help. After all this, Maggie goes to reconcile with Thunder, saying, "We were wrong to try to kick you out." Larry returns to perform his magic again at the house and says to them, "I also want to join you." But Jackie tells him, "Wait until I finish this segment with Thunder, who has become my friend."